Ceann Comhairle. Last Thursday, the Dáil passed a motion which the Labour Party opposed, and that motion dealt with the business for this week. That motion, which was passed on Thursday, did not exclude the hearing of leaders' questions today. There was no reference in the motion to Standing Order 27, which is the standing order that deals with leaders' questions. That standing order was not stood down by the motion which was put by the government and which was passed here last week. Now, in anticipation that I would wish to raise some issues on leaders' questions today, issues which have arisen since then, as Deputy Kenny has said, the revelation that 187 children had died in the care of the state in the past decade, the shocking disclosures regarding the reliability of scans conducted on pregnant women in a number of hospitals, the two banking reports that have now been issued by government and about which I understand the Taoiseach and the Minister for Finance and Minister Ryan are to hold a press conference at 4:30. The claims made about the role of the regulator and the central bank, and indeed the Department of Finance, in an affidavit sworn by the former CEO of Irish Life and Permanent, and the effective hijacking in international waters by Israeli forces of an Irish-owned vessel, the Rachel Corrie, all of which have developed since we met here on Thursday. The whip, the Labour Party whip, wrote to you, Deputy Stagg wrote to you yesterday, drawing your attention to the fact that the motion on Thursday did not preclude or exclude leaders' questions. And you replied, sir, saying that, noting that the motion which was passed on Thursday stated that oral questions shall not be taken. And I'm quoting from your letter, you said, "This encompasses all questions, including special notice questions under Standing Order 33 and leaders' questions under Standing Order 27. Neither of which is specifically mentioned by reference to their standing order reference number." Now, Ceann Comhairle, when you make rulings, you normally draw our attention to precedent, and you rely on precedent in making your rulings. And I now want to draw your attention to the precedent for the ordering of business and for motions dealing with the ordering of business. I have found 4 precedents, which I intend to draw your attention to specifically, where motions dealing with the order of business for particular days of the House and where business is being stood down. And in each of these precedents, Ceann Comhairle, it states that oral questions shall not be taken on that particular day. But it also states separately that there would be no leaders' questions on those particular dates. I draw your attention to the motion which was passed on March the 23rd of this year, which set down business for the following day, for that particular day as it was. It said oral questions shall not be taken today, and then in a separate item it said there shall be no leaders' questions today pursuant to Standing Order 27. On the 14th of December 2006, another precedent where it says that oral and written questions shall not be taken, and in a separate item on that particular motion, it says there shall be no leaders' questions pursuant to Standing Order, as it was 26A on that occasion. On the 29th of September 2004, it states that oral questions shall not be taken today, and there shall be no leaders, and separate item, there shall be no leaders' questions today pursuant to Standing Order 26A. On the 8th of April 2004, similarly, separate provisions made in that motion for the fact that oral questions would not be taken, and a separate provision stating that there shall be no leaders' questions. The point I'm making to you, sir, is that the precedent of the House and the precedent of rulings of the Chair is that where it is intended that leaders' questions will not be taken, that specific provision is made in the motion that leaders' questions should not be taken. There was no specific provision made in the motion which was passed by the House last Thursday, and which I submit to you, sir, you are bound under. You're bound by the motion that was passed last Thursday. That motion does not preclude the holding the hearing of leaders' questions. It does not stand down the standing order dealing with leaders' questions as happened in the past, and therefore Standing Order 27 applies to today's business. And I'm submitting to you, sir, that leaders' questions should be taken today. I wish to raise a leader's question today with the Taoiseach in respect of one of the matters that I have referred to earlier. No decision was taken by this House not to have leaders' questions today. And I submit that if you decide and if you interpret the decision which was made last Thursday as meaning that there should be no leaders' questions, you are setting a new precedent, and a new precedent which will seriously disadvantage non-government members of this House and the opposition parties, and a precedent which I would find, and the Labour Party would find, quite unacceptable. So I'm asking you, Ceann Comhairle, having drawn your attention now to what was in the motion last week, having drawn your attention to the precedent of this House, to reconsider your position about the taking of leaders' questions and to agree to take leaders' questions, as I believe you are required to do under Standing Order 27 and indeed under the terms of the motion which was passed last Thursday.
Deputy.
Comhairle, you are wrong about that. The motion.
If you wish to test the water in relation to that matter, you're going to have to submit a substantive motion, which you're quite entitled to do.
Ceann Comhairle, I
have called and talked to Keith.
Ceann Comhairle, I'm submitting to you that your ruling is wrong and that you should reconsider it.